Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Heavyweights Podcast. In one corner, standing at 6'3", 290 pounds of solid chicken wings, Dustin Urban. And this corner at 6'7", 280 pounds, the one, the only, Big Daddy Nik Klein.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Heavyweights Podcast. I'm your host, Nik Klein, and joining me always is Dustin Urban. For some reason, my next-door neighbor came back over. Didn't really invite him. He just kind of showed up. He's the dumb Jets fan you've heard the last couple of weeks, Josh Reeves.
Yeah, buddy.
Thanks for joining us. I didn't even invite you, but here we are. Another week, Dustin, of nothing really going on. I mean, you had the XFL. We'll get into that here in a little bit. I'm more excited personally, though, because the Combine's coming back into town. Players start arriving on Sunday with the tight ends, quarterbacks, and wide receivers showing up. Luckily, it's always in here in Indy. I've had the privilege of being able to go as a member of the media a couple times. I don't know what you're looking forward to, but it's always the interview process, the beginning that I like, and it sets up nicely throughout the week once the players start testing on the field on Thursday.
I'm mostly a 40 guy. I like to see some bench press. So
I don't mind the bench press. I mean, the 40 it's all position times because the 40, that's great for receivers. How many times have we seen receivers go higher than they need to, like John Ross?
Right, that's my favorite because you get to see who's going to reach on the dumbest player.
I think Ruggs has an honest chance to break that 4.2 40 that John Ross.
That's what everybody's talking about.
Yeah, I mean that'll be interesting, but we'll get more into that next week on our Tuesday episode, like always. We'll just be able to cover that more once it starts, but it's a packed wide receiver group this year. I think that's my best group I want to see. I mean, the offensive line could be better than what it's looking like right now. It'll all depend on how everybody tests out, their measurements and everything. But this wide receiver group, we've known for a while. It's deep. We get to actually see them test out. And I think we're going to be surprised with a lot of these guys. We might see 15 to 20 guys go in the first 2.5 rounds.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all with that. There's, like you said, it's a really deep class of wide receivers, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know that'll be big. And I know another big thing that almost all the eyes I feel like are going to be on Tua Tagovailoa is medicals, or how they're going to come back, his interview process. I know that his CT scan or whatever came back clean, but the doctors are going to basically pick him apart and read all these. If he comes out of this unscathed, where do you think he's going to go?
Miami, more than likely. If not, then
Detroit.
I don't see him dropping too much. I don't see him going.
I don't see him going to Detroit, but I see if he comes out clear of this, Detroit's got the best position available in this draft.
Right,
and
they can trade back and get a crazy amount of picks. So we'll see what happens here going forward.
Yeah, I'll be interested for that. There's a whole bunch. Like I said, we'll talk about it next week. But let's actually go. There was actually football on again this weekend. I know ratings were down a little bit with the XFL, but I was able to watch some highlights again. I think I watched bits and pieces here and there. It's a decent product. I mean, a couple million watch it on ESPN. I saw the ratings came in today, but I mean, I hope this keeps going.
Yeah, I was really impressed. The first game was the DC Defenders taking on the New York Guardians. It's just New York. It's not New Jersey. I'm full-blown stupid. But the defensive line dominated for DC again. They're the strength of this team. They made Matt McGlynn look stupid.
That's not hard to do, though.
He was an embarrassment to football this weekend. His lack of respect for the coaching staff, his terrible decision-making. He bitched about poor play calls on the sideline, but then he missed open receivers all day, turned the ball over a lot. He went 8 for 18 for 44 yards and 2 interceptions and was calling the coaching staff out. And he was missing people by fucking 20 yards. So
where did he play in New York with the Jets? Was that
no? He played for the Raiders.
The Raiders. Okay, I was trying to remember. I was thinking of Christian
short stint with the
Hackenberg.
Chiefs, I believe.
Just bad.
His spot was surprising to actually get a start when they could have gone after exponential amount of other people that would have been a lot better than him.
Moving forward, after the first week, he said this was one of the best weeks he's ever had of football, and then to come back week 2 and just call out your coaching staff like that and just totally bail on the
and
whole
your
project.
Players. It's just unreal. Like that's the whole camaraderie of the locker room is supposed to be there. Like the quarterback's always supposed to be the leader. If you have an arrogant quarterback, it upsets everybody. Like I know me as an offensive lineman, I used to get irate if a quarterback was a little too cocky and just would mouth off to the media. I mean, I never had anything close to that. Actually, I was fortunate enough to play with some decent ones, but just he had no right to call shit out like that. Like, they're all trying to get a second chance, and then you're basically just saying that nothing's my fault.
It's really going to be interesting seeing how these sideline reports play out week in and week out. New York's offense never got it going, but their defense didn't look that bad. I know it was 27-0 at the end of the game, but that was with a pick six. DC scored for their second week on defense, and they look like the most complete team in this league, top to bottom. I really like their chances going forward. Cardell Jones had another great week. He led the offense, and he's my early favorite for MVP, even though I don't even know what their awards will consist
there'll
of.
be a league MVP. I think that would go to PJ Walker that used to play for the Colts.
Yeah, he looks good so far, too.
11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions I saw, I think. I mean, he's the reason why he was on the Colts practice squad, bounced around. But he looks damn good. And it's Andrew Luck who actually reached out to Oliver Luck when they were trying to find quarterbacks for this and say, give Walker a chance. And to me, he looks like the best quarterback so far in this league. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting a contract at the end of this year.
Him or Cardell Jones. They'll probably both be back.
They'll at least get camp invites, but Jones, though, still makes some iffy decisions on his reads, but he's got that can of an arm still.
DC moved on to 2-0 on the season, and New York dropped to 1-1. Then we got the St. Louis Battlehawks at the Houston Roughnecks. This game was the best game of the entire weekend. Houston opened up the game with the field goal drive. St. Louis had a nice first drive for a touchdown. Houston's quarterback, P.J. Walker, we talked about him earlier. He controlled the game. St. Louis did a poor job of containing him, and he made a lot of plays with his legs. St. Louis made some crucial mistakes in the turnovers, and it ended up costing them the game. Walker found Cam Phillips for 3 touchdowns. Again, I think it was the best game of the young season of the XFL. Houston became 2-0, and St. Louis is now 1-1. But P.J. Walker looks like a dynamo going forward for them.
Yeah, I think they've got that locked down. It'll probably just be a one-year thing for him, but he looks damn good. So I'm cool with that. Did you want to talk about the Vipers game? Because that's the only game I really want to talk about.
Yeah, I got that after this one. The Dallas Renegades versus the LA Wildcats. This was a sloppy game by both offenses moving forward or going into the fourth quarter. Both teams played terrible. There was a few drives, but both teams continuously turned over the ball when things looked promising. LA scored the first touchdown of the game with around 12 minutes left to go in the fourth. Missed the extra point, made it 9-6. Landry Jones finally came up with some plays down the stretch. Dallas scored on their last 3 drives for touchdowns, and they ended up winning this game 25-18. And Landry Jones becomes your first quarterback in the XFL to throw for 300 yards in a game. But mainly Dallas controlled the game with their run game with Lance Dunbar and I forget the other something Payne. Artist Payne, yeah, he looked pretty good too.
And Dunbar used to play for Dallas, right?
Yeah, Dallas moved to 1-1 on the season. LA is now 0-2. But here we go, the shit show of the week. Tampa Bay Vipers.
So fucking bad.
At the Seattle Dragons. It was a final score of 17-9, but it was a terrible game.
Mark Trestman's going to be the first XFL coach fired, and I hope it's because Stone Cold comes out during halftime and just Stone Cold stuns him.
Well, he might be the first head coach fired, but the first week we had a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, I guess, head coach. I should have. Yeah, that's not surprising. I should have clarified that. I would bet hard money right now that LSU would have beaten the living shit out of the Vipers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They are terrible, and I don't know who in that, because each team got, the city's got awarded, and then a committee.
They're on their third
committee goes, Mark
Trestman's
the idea. No, they're not well coached. He looks lost. I don't even think he realized that he can go for a 2 or 3 point extra conversion at this point. Just flat terrible.
I think they're setting themselves up for a championship run.
God damn it, Reeves. All in all, this was just a terrible game. It was 3-0 at halftime, but coming out of the half, Seattle's quarterback threw a 78-yard pick six to Travarius McFadden to make it 9-0 for the Vipers. Then the ensuing drive,
I remember this.
It was a 68-yard touchdown pass to Keenan Reynolds, the old quarterback from Navy, but he's a receiver now in the XFL.
That's what he was trying to get to in the NFL. My favorite part of this game is the only other play I want to talk about is they tried running a fucking screenplay and the D end just went right into his hands.
I was getting next. That was my next point. It was a 3-yard interception return for a touchdown, and this idiot throws it. I mean, if he didn't jump, it probably would have still hit him in the head. So
it was bad. We can move on. I mean, I don't want to spend my.
Seattle moves to 1-1. Tampa is now 0-2, and they'll probably go. I don't know how many games they're playing, but they'll probably lose every fucking game.
You want to make a fun bet, Klein? Bet you the Vipers win it all. Case of beer.
Okay.
I'll bet you $100 right
That's
now.
I'm not going to go that far.
Glad you have faith in Mark Trestman. And who's their third string quarterback?
I had to just say the third string because I have no. I think it was like something
Who'd they
Cornelius.
start the year with? Was it Aaron Murray?
It was Aaron Murray. He shit the bed week 1. They moved on to this Flowers guy. I wasn't sure. I'm not even sure where he's from. He looked like shit.
I saw Josh Johnson got a second shot this past week.
That's in L.A., yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't look bad, actually. They had that game under control for a little while, but then Dallas really took control in the fourth quarter.
Threaded the needle.
Yeah, that was a nice throw.
I mean, that's enough about the damn XFL, though, because
it's probably the most we'll ever cover it.
No, I mean, that's fine. I like doing the little recaps on it, and it's nice to turn it on the weekends. It's hard to still get into it when you've got, like, I turn it on and I want a competitive game, and Mark Trestman's coaching a team called the Vipers, who I wanted to be my favorite team because I like their logo and their name. And then once I started like looking at their roster, I was like, "Oh my God, no! Just no!"
I think I'm a DC Defender guy.
Nobody, because let's move on to what like the XFL used to be as like aggression and violence. Myles Garrett is back, baby.
I like him.
Nothing like a helmet toss.
Yeah, what do you think of that situation? Because I think the suspension was long enough. There's been players that have tried to hit someone with a helmet before. I get it was in prime time. We can get into the racist debate for a while if he actually said that word or not. It's just going to be a he said, whatever. But I'm glad to see him back, and I think it was the right move to bring him back. I know some people don't agree with that.
I think it's fine. I watched Albert Hainsworth step on some guy's head with his cleats, and his helmet fell off, so he didn't get kicked out of the league. So I don't know why you would kick.
I mean, we've seen people kill people and not get suspended this long.
And I mean,
Kareem Hunt's still in the league, and we've all seen that video. We've all seen
Tyreek Hill broke his son's arm.
Joe Mixon. We've seen that video at Oklahoma when he broke that girl's jaw.
Right. I mean, let's not get in a pissing contest about who all sucks.
You're just mad because that's Oklahoma. But
hey, it is what it is. Baker Mayfield got tackled by a cop a couple years ago. It's fine. But everybody does.
If I would have ever made it to the NFL, I would have been screwed if they would have looked at my arrest record, which technically isn't there.
That would have been a fun draft recap to watch on that.
Oh, that would have been a nightmare. It would have been all over. Thank God I'm not that good at football. Let's keep it moving then. This week we're going to do the questions of the week a little different. Normally we do a whole section on them, or like a segment on them, I guess. We're going to recap the AFC South and the NFC South this week. We're going to go with their top free agents, kind of what we did a couple weeks ago. We're going to integrate the questions of the week with that. So we're going to start from worst team in each division and work their way up. So we're going to start with the AFC. Jacksonville, 6-10 this year. I mean, we're only 2 years away from them making the
AFC title game.
Yeah, and pretty much should have won that game. But
like Bortles.
They're negative $3.4 million in the salary cap right now, which is 31st in the league. They're going to have to restructure some contracts. I know that the dead hit on Nick Foles is like $18 million, so they've got to figure out something there because I think they're going to go with Gardner Minshew at this point. I mean, they've already benched him once.
I don't believe he's going anywhere, though. He's probably going to be their backup for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I thought it was just a 2-year deal, and they can get out of it next year without any.
I thought they guaranteed the whole contract.
I didn't know. I thought the first 2 years were guaranteed, or like something $70 million was guaranteed. But they're free agents. They don't really have much. Marcel Darius, they traded for. He played, I think, only 20.
He didn't pan out there, but he was good.
His first 4 years, but he's also 31 years old now. Yannick, who really hasn't done anything since 2017. You really going to want to pay him $20-21 million? You can't. Let him walk. Other than that, this team doesn't have a direction. They've just got to load up on the draft because they've spent so much money elsewhere. I doubt Telvin Smith's coming back at this point. You can address that at 9 with their draft pick. You can look at someone like Isaiah Simmons, who you can plug and play. If he's there, it's a steal. I mean, you can plug that dude in anywhere and he will play. He can be a down lineman, safety, corner. I don't see them. It's got to be a complete rebuild at this point. Like Leonard Fournette, you're going to have to let walk. You don't pay a running back 80, 90 million, especially when he's going to be the worst player or the best player on a horrible team.
And he's injury prone as hell too.
Yeah, so. I mean he's had some decent
issues as well.
He's going to be okay, I think, in that he's still a damn good running back. I mean, he's shown it this year. He showed up better in shape. He had a good year. That offense was just abysmal.
We'll see how it goes with Tom Coughlin out of there, see if the players' attitudes change any. But
I mean, I can see that too.
That can go as far as it wants to, but they really need to improve this team.
When that all went down, especially for our type of coach he is.
Cam Robinson's up at the end of next year. Do you want to re-sign him? He'll be 29 at the time. They got Jawan Taylor in the second round last year, so they've got some pillars in the offensive line. Obviously, Norwell, they paid him, 60, 70 million 2 years ago when he came over from Denver. You can shore up Carolina, sorry. You can shore up the offensive line, but you're going to need defensive line help. You got Josh Allen coming in his second year. He's shown really good flashes. Miles Jack's a hell of a player. Ronnie Harrison's getting old. Calais Campbell's still a freak of nature, but you've just got so many holes on this team, and the ones that you do are like, oh, he's good, like Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell's in his 30s. He doesn't have much longer. Yeah. I think now you tear it down and you build back up slowly through the draft.
Yeah, because the holes you would usually plug with free agency, you don't have any wiggle room there. So they're going to have to draft very well this year and hope for the best out of the draft class.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they can do. I mean, are we going to... They usually tend to take like 5 or 6 years when they rebuild. I mean, we've seen that before when they had a run back in the late 2000s when they had Gerard. They benched Leftwich and ended up working out for him for a little while.
Yeah, they had that two-way, those two running backs.
Maurice Jones-Drew and
Fred Taylor.
Taylor left at the end
last leg,
to New England.
He was still always dynamic.
Yeah, they just couldn't get over the hump because, I mean, that's hard when you're playing in a division for 12 years with Peyton Manning.
Right.
So you're not going to win many games.
They didn't. They were the Colts' biggest challenge back then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the year the Colts won the Super Bowl, JD and Taylor ran for over 300 yards.
I think we
lost.
We lost to all three of the division opponents going.
Yeah, and then Bob Sanders came back. Thank God.
Our Lord and Savior.
Isn't Jacksonville strapped on cap too?
Oh yeah, they're negative. They're in the negative.
Negative 3.4 million. I said that if you'd be listening, you dumb son of a bitch. Let's move on. Probably most people that listen to our podcast, their favorite team is the Indianapolis Colts, just because we're based out of here. 7-9 last year. We knew the ups and downs after the 5-2 start. You struggle down the stretch. Brissett, it hurts his hamstring. Wide receiver position, you're basically signing guys off the practice squad and off the street. Injury after injury just piles up. Brissett never looked the same coming back. Finished at 7-9, but they've got $86.1 million in cap space. That's the second most behind the Dolphins. Did you look at their free agency?
Yeah.
Because I've got a list too, and I can start pouncing them off.
Go for it.
Well, my first thing, the only thing I really want to this starts and ends all right here. If Anthony Costanzo does not re-sign a 3 or 4 year deal, the Colts' biggest need going into the draft, forget quarterback because you can draft one. You don't have someone to protect your blind side. You need to look at a tackle there at 13.
They'll probably end up having to trade up to get somebody that...
I mean, you might be able to get someone to drop. Depends on who they like, though. I mean, if they're looking at it. Just that has got to be... and he's got to let these people know, or Ballard and Reich and Irsay know right when free agency starts, because you can target a tackle, but there's not really many available on this market.
I don't really see him franchise tagging Costanzo, but
they could just to work out it. I don't think it's about money with him. He's kind of like Luck in that way.
Right. I didn't say that. It's just
he's got a degree from Boston College in like computer science or something intricate. It sounds more fancier than that. It's just I think it kind of stunned everybody on their exit interviews when he's just like, I have two options right now: either come back as a Colt or I retire. And it just, holy shit. You've got players, though, that you could give a shit less about bringing them back. Ebron's gone.
Quit on the team.
Devin Funchess is gone. That was...
Never played for the team, really.
Clayton Gether's gone. Do you let LaRaven Clark go, who was inactive almost every single game, but he was your backup tackle? But when he has played, they've had him, he's looked bad.
Really just depends on the price, I guess, but at the same time, like you said, he hasn't looked good when he's been in anyway, so what does it really matter there?
Yeah, I mean, I think... Vinny, obviously we all know that situation. If he wants to come back, I think he can get a camp invite, but you go with Chase McLaughlin, who they tendered.
Jabal Sheard,
I played 58% of the snaps this year. He did start the year out.
I'm just not really a fan of him.
I mean, the 2 years before that, he was a leader in the locker room, but I mean, he is getting older. I mean, he played 83% of the snaps
for the
on
money that
defense
we
2
paid
years
him.
ago.
He just doesn't make enough plays.
I think he does more than what you think. He's been the most.
He's better in the run than he is the pass, but I don't really like him, man.
Yeah, I mean, but then you've got this money. You can go target an edge rusher in free agency, but Jadeveon Clowney's not worth that money.
No.
He's played one full season. You can look in the draft, obviously, for that. They need an edge rusher, but you've got some young pieces on there. But you've also got to start looking ahead in 2021 because Hooker's contract's up. You're going to have to re-sign him. Ryan Kelly, you got to start probably talking to him now because he just made the Pro Bowl and he's finally healthy and he is getting better. You probably let Quincy Wilson walk, Danichi Autry walk. But Justin Houston's up. Great signing. I think 9.5 sacks this year. Keep him if he comes back on a team-friendly deal, but you've got some issues for next year too. I mean, Jacoby obviously up, but I doubt he's coming back unless he just turns in like a 35 touchdown season and just looks completely sharp.
We'll see what happens there, anyways.
I mean,
but they're talking about bringing in. There's a lot of rumors about a handful of different quarterbacks. So we'll see.
Phillip Rivers isn't coming here. I'm sorry, he's 38 years old.
No, but there's a really strong rise for Teddy Bridgewater.
That's because CBS put something out today. That doesn't mean shit. Like,
I just don't get it.
That's just any guy that writes for a website can create a top 5 list, and if he's got a decent amount of followers, it's gonna blow up. There's been no concrete evidence. I mean, yes, he would get to play in a dome here. He looked good, but I just don't see that fit, and they're gonna have to spend so much money on him when they're going to have all these re-signings. I mean, do you want to go for it now? Do the Colts want to go for the Super Bowl next year when they're still a couple pieces away? They've still got some holes. They were exposed this year. They have a decent enough roster to get you 8-8, 9-7, compete to make the playoffs, but they're not over that hump yet. Because Teddy Bridgewater isn't a top 5 quarterback. Andrew Luck was. He could get you past some of those flaws. We've seen it happen before. You have to have that elite quarterback. Otherwise, right now, that's why I don't say you sign any of them. You ride with Brissett next year. You hope he was closer to that quarterback on that 5-2 start with that hamstring. That hamstring wasn't an issue, or you hope it's not now is what I'm trying to say. And you ride with him. If it doesn't work out, then you look at the quarterbacks next year.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I just don't really think Bridgewater's the answer. He's a game manager. He's not anything that's going to win you a bunch of games. Like you said, he can win some games. I don't mean it like that, but
I would personally like if Derek Carr became available in trade talks because he's a top 15 quarterback. He's already better than Brissett. In my opinion, he's probably going to be better with the Colts than Bridgewater would be. We've got a better offensive line. This is barring Costanzo coming back. He's got that big arm. He can check down. His completion percentage is better than what Bridgewater's was last year. He's a better option, I think. That's if Tom Brady goes, or Teddy Bridgewater might even go to Vegas. You never know.
I think the door is wide open in this division because it's not really. The Texans look like they could pull away, but they just seem like they just don't. I don't know why. And I think if you do bring in a veteran quarterback like Rivers or Bridgewater, you actually have a shot at the division. I did like the Derek Carr.
The division is open. They
got a shot at the division with Brissett. So
they
blew it last year. Injuries really hurt him, and then Brissett was just gun shy down the stretch. Really, I thought.
Yeah, he was, and we looked good, but you play so many close games. Usually, it's a coin flip. They're not supposed to go your way 24/7. That could change next year, but we played in the closest amount of games that were decided by 9 points or less in the NFL. It'll change next year. I just still think you've got all these draft picks. Don't trade them to try to trade up. Get some more depth. Can make this roster more competitive. Look into free agency. You've got to do more moves in free agency to bolster this defensive line. Marcus Hunt didn't do shit this year. You've got to get bigger and more athletic up front.
If Jordan Love falls to you guys in the second round, do you take him?
You take a long look at him, but I would see if he starts falling.
Second round, I'd do it.
We'll see after the combine, but if he tests like he should. If you look at his 2018 tape, he's
going
great.
in the first round.
Someone will trade back in late, just like Bridgewater when he went late in the first round. Lamar Jackson. The Colts don't need it. They got the 34th overall pick and I think the 58th overall pick or 54th. Use those. Get your 2 second rounders. You didn't hit as well last year. You've got some depth coming in. Just stay patient. And that's what I think people forget too. Ballard doesn't trade up. He trades back usually. The 44th. Oh, 44th. Okay. It's just be patient. Keep building depth. Because you're eventually going to have to re-sign these guys. Think about the contracts that they'll have to sign in 3 years with Leonard and Quentin Nelson.
Yeah.
I mean, those are going to be
They're going to
monsters.
break the bank with those.
Yeah, Leonard will command more than else just because of his position and he's the leader of the defense.
I personally don't think the Colts are going to be very active in free agency this year. I think because you got those big contracts coming on up.
I think they'll be more active than they were the last 2 years. Yeah, but they've got more money than they have recently.
They'll be signing team-friendly deals for sure. Yeah. Ballard's smart with the money. He's not going to go.
We'll get into more to that with our top 15 free agents next week, but he's going to spend more than he did last year, and he even admitted at the end of his exit post he should have signed more people, created some more depth, because it showed once guys started. Kimiko Toure looked great until he snapped his ankle in half against the Patriots. Yeah. You've got the potential. The potential's been there in a lot of them, like Malik Hooker. Great start to the season, the first 3 or 4 weeks.
Stay healthy.
It's not just the health; he just looks lost at times back there.
Yeah.
Kari Willis, though, the 5th-round pick out of Michigan State, looked great. I mean, Gathers got benched even when he came back healthy.
But I really liked him.
Yeah, I mean, he can play special teams too. Yurakia Sin didn't look terrible at times. You're going to have this problem with cornerbacks. I mean, he's adjusting to the speed of the NFL. That's why he wasn't a first-round pick. He looked good down the stretch, though. He's physical.
He was never the weakest link.
I mean, at times he seemed that way, especially at the beginning of the year when we had to throw him out on an island. But it's just if this team can keep developing, once you get that, you can worry about getting Brissett a replacement. I mean, you got to think Brissett's deal's done up to the end of next year too.
Are you looking here for chops for Trevor Lawrence?
I don't know if the Colts are going to be
They're
bad
gonna
enough next.
Pack, man.
I don't know if they're going to be bad enough.
I mean, you got to tell me, having Peyton Manning, they're going to Andrew Luck, then wait out of here.
Carolina is probably going to be the worst team in the NFL next year.
Curtis Painter's not walking through this fucking door, boys.
Sure, I know.
So
Dan Orlovsky coming to save the day to get us 2
Kerry
wins.
Collins,
But you never know how the NFL
when
can
Jim
go.
Irsay was happy he signed Kerry Collins.
Right.
Our Savior's here. It's like, our Savior's been retired for 5 months.
Savior was named Brett fucking Favre, bud, but he didn't sign him. No, just joking.
We spent like 10 minutes on the Colts. Let's move on. The Titans next in the division, 9-7. We saw that run they had in the AFC playoffs. 50.4 million cap space, 14th. They probably got more questions with signing free agents than a lot of other teams do.
Yeah, you got Logan Ryan up.
Questionable, I don't know.
Marcus Mariota's gone.
Yeah.
Jack Conklin, Wesley Wood.
No, I mean, Conklin, you offer, but nothing elite, like not top 10 or top 5 right tackle money.
You got Ryan Tannehill, and then their main concern, I believe, Derrick Henry.
Do you pay
no,
running back
we've already been over
much?
this.
I know.
We've already been over this. If
he's that young, I get it, but look how
he's just never.
There was a stat the other day that running backs with over 400 carries in a season didn't even top 800 yards the next year. Larry Johnson, I think, was the last one to even get close to 1,000. If anybody doesn't remember him, he was a great running back for Kansas City.
Out of Penn State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Henry, I mean, they're going to offer him, and they're probably going to pay the dude. My biggest thing here is you bring back Tannehill. That's going to cost you.
Did he really, though?
Yeah. I mean, he looked good in your system. Vrabel trust him. I mean, who else are you going to go with?
I'm taking a look at Brady if I'm them, though.
If I make a run at Brady, I'm not paying
really,
their
Brady
offensive line's not good enough, and they don't have enough offensive
Yeah.
weapons on the outside. Brady's not going to go to Nashville.
I like
Wesley Woodyard you let walk, though. I mean, Ragland's there now. I mean, he only had 2 starts last year and only had 37 tackles after having back-to-back 100. He's old. But Logan Ryan, I think you let walk. He looked okay. Conklin, I mean, that's up in the air. It's just they've got some money, too. But, I mean, God, if they commit $70 million guaranteed, because he already said Zeke's number, which was 80-something, or was it 92?
I think it was
90.
Whatever Zeke's number was, he
he's
said
around 14 million.
that would be the bottom end of what he would expect. It's like,
Right.
dude, you're not $100 million player.
I could see you paying. I mean, and I wouldn't do this. I would give him around the same kind of money Le'Veon Bell got, but I would still be like,
you're 52.
I would have a hard time.
Everybody's scared as shit now because of Todd Gurley.
Right, and I'd have
he was an elite back. I mean, maybe he comes back next year, but the arthritis in his knees showed up. And now, granted, Derrick Henry,
Davis story right there.
Derrick Henry doesn't have those
Injury history, yeah.
But you don't pay a running back that much money anymore.
If that's gonna be your game plan, just pound in the rock. Can T's obviously gonna, but Can you stop them? That's the question.
Yeah, you can. Hits take a toll.
Yeah.
So, like, when two players are like playing
Kansas
football and they
City
hit pads,
showed
that creates
you can
contact, and
stop
over
it.
time that wears down your fucking body.
Kansas City obviously showed they could stop him. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can slow him down. I mean,
As I say, does that affect his contract going forward?
no,
I don't think that should.
The two runs he had at the end of each season the last 2 years, I mean, speak for themselves. I mean, he carried them there. But also, Tannehill looked damn good because of that. But how much do you pay him? Well, no, he's going to want not top 5 money, but you're going to have to pay him at least $95 million.
I wouldn't do
$95 million if you only guarantee like 30 or 35 because he only did this in a short span.
he's going to want
I'd sign
like
him to a
4 years,
one-year
$100 million probably.
With a 1 year player option. That's fine. I mean, you got to think that's not all your money there. It's just they're going to have some work to do. The defense is all right. I mean, their draft picks, I didn't even where are they at exactly? I know
They have a first round pick, second round pick. They're missing their 4th round pick and their 7th. They got 5 draft picks, so they really don't have a lot of.
They got their first 3 though. They got
their
second,
first
third.
3, yeah.
I mean, that's where more.
That's what you want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, 4th and 5th are usually special teams plays. I mean, Vrabel looks like a damn good coach. It's just if you don't bring back Henry and Tannehill, I feel like this team drops to a 3 or 4 win team.
Oh, yeah.
And Vrabel looks like a good coach.
I mean, if you don't replace him.
I mean, who you
who you going to replace Derrick Henry with?
No, I was talking about
Tannehill? I mean, you got some options. This free agent quarterback
I
class
thought you
is
said
loaded
Tannehill.
compared to what it
Probably
normally
can
is.
go second round with the QB then. Like, probably Eason. Or
Yeah.
if Jordan Love falls, he won't fall that far, obviously. But
Eason might not even make it out of the first round either. We'll see how he throws this week at the combine. He's got the strongest arm in this club. You want to move on to the division winner then?
Yep, moving on to the Texans. They have around $64 million in cap space. They were
6th overall.
Yeah, they had a pretty good year considering everything that went on there with all the trades and all the craziness they had going
Yeah,
on.
they sold the farm to win now and build for the future. And I mean, I like some of their trades. They finally got someone to protect.
Larry Tunsil's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
I don't dislike that
Gas
trade
mask
at
and all. Love that man.
Hey, we've all loved the smoke out of a gas mask.
Never, but I'm glad you have.
I have joined that.
I'm not
But,
surprised.
Good accolade to have.
We got.
Don't just list off the players because I'm going to get...
No, I was
This
saying
next
I
year.
liked their addition when they got.
We did have, before we get into that, we did have a question of the week this week that came in that was about the Texans. What do they have to do to get to the next level? I think develop. J.J. Watt, you're losing in his prime. I mean, Clowney leaving hurt a little bit, I think. But Deshaun Watson looks like still the man. You've still got the best receiver in football, or top 3 at least, DeAndre Hopkins. If Fuller can stay healthy, this team's on a completely different level there. But they've got the pieces. I mean, the defense kind of came together. I mean, the defense, was it against the run game? They were top 10. That pass defense, they've got to figure out something in that secondary.
Yeah, they were atrocious.
I mean, they've got Vernon Hargraves. They signed midseason.
They just waved in.
They picked Jonathan Joseph, though, is what, 36 now?
36. You got to let him go.
Yeah, he's gonna walk.
Bradley Roby, though, was good 2 years ago. You've got these big splash name secondary players.
He was good when he was a third corner in Denver.
Yeah.
And he was covering
I remember when I went to the combine, Hargraves, I was like, okay, he was coming out of Florida, right? And I was like, all right, he's up next. And he walked past me, and I'm 6'6", and I was like, all right, corners are usually, 5'10", 6 foot, and he's listed at 6 foot on the guide, and he walks past me. I was like, dude, you don't even come up to my nipple.
Right.
Like, you don't look like an NFL player. I mean, he's quick as shit. He just didn't look like he could handle up to the physicality.
I don't know.
And he seemed lazy and didn't want to tackle. That's why Arians cut his ass.
He looked better when he got to Houston, but he looked terrible.
Well, he's gone now.
He looked terrible in Tampa Bay for sure.
I mean, they've got the 6-month cap space. Lamar Miller, though, and Carlos Hyde, I feel like you've got to look at bringing them back because unless you draft a running back high,
maybe go
They've
like Jonathan
worked
Taylor if he's there in the second round.
Zach Moss out of Utah.
yeah, I mean, you've got some options there. I mean, even
Because they got their second round pick, their third round.
Edwards-Helaire out of
and
LSU will be there, too, who can catch the
Yeah.
ball really fucking good out of the backfield. Jonathan Taylor, I don't know if that's his style works with the Texans, plus his fumbling issues. You want a back that can catch out of the backfield. I mean, Taylor can block, but Hilaire might be your best zone runner in this draft class and can catch out of the backfield. Would be good fit with Deshaun Watson. I'd look there if you're going to go there. But,
they have Duke
for now,
Johnson.
Lamar Miller looked good in spots. Hyde didn't look bad at all this year either.
No, when he got the ball.
I mean, they can do a better job of running the ball a little more just to take the pressure off of Hops and Fuller, but I mean, Fuller didn't play. But then next year, you've got, look at that, I pulled this up. Next year's free agency class that they're going to have to deal with, Will Fuller. I mean, that's all his health. When he's played on the field, he's been
dynamic.
He's been dynamic. Zach Cunningham, second-round pick out of Vanderbilt a few years ago. I was enamored with. Stud now. Kenny Stills, I mean, he'll be 29 at the time.
Solid third guy.
Yeah.
Could be a good number 2.
You got Garen Conley, who they got from the Raiders, who didn't look terrible. He finally, maybe he's something then. You can bring him back on a 2-year deal worth $30 million. So they've got... and Laramie Tunzel, so you're gonna and Deshaun Watson, so you're gonna have to pay some players here.
Get the gas mask ready because he's about to break the bank.
JJ Watt, unfortunately, or he's got to.
They're not gonna cut JJ Watt.
I know that, but
they're not fucking cutting JJ Watt.
JJ Watt's not even playing bad yet.
Well, in 2 years, you don't know. With him being injury prone the way it is,
then he comes back from a torn pec and still dominates.
I agree, but how is he?
You agree, but you just said.
I mean, I'm saying yes. He's still. I'm saying about 2 years from now, we got paid those type of.
We'll talk about that in fucking 2 years. But right now, JJ Watt's a hell of a player still.
I think he's the type of guy that down the line he would take a team friendly deal just because of the way he's a
hero in Houston.
He's the best player in fucking Houston Texans history, which is not saying shit.
I mean, Andre Johnson though.
I'd put JJ Watt.
No, he's a 3-time defensive player of the year. Of course, you fucking put him over Andre Johnson. But like, I know that you're saying that's not shit, but they've had one other good player at least, and then they had a couple good offensive linemen here and there. But I mean,
God bless David Carr.
Yeah, David Carr. That's not his fault. They
murdered him.
They put a fucking D2 offense.
Get sacked 73 times. Anyone else try to fucking throw the ball?
I still think they're the favorites to win the division next year. As long as Deshaun Watson has that ball in his hands, I think they're good to win next year. That offensive line will get a little better. I mean, they announced they're bringing back Cornell, right? Defensive line.
No, as a consultant or something like that.
I think you got to move on with him at this point. I mean. They haven't looked great on defense for what we're going on 2 years now. They've just taken a steady decline everywhere. I mean, you can throw the ball all over them.
I think they should trade their first round.
Personally, I think
they don't. I know they should try to trade their second round picks so you can get Darius Slay if the Lions.
Do you have their picks up? Because what do they even have?
Yeah, I said that earlier. Sorry. They have a second, a third, 2 fourths, a fifth, and a seventh. So
don't give up your second. I mean, you do something.
They're not.
They're
not going to move. They're not going to.
They need corner.
I don't think they have enough to trade for Darius Slay. I think
no, they don't have anywhere near close to trade for Darius Slay. Get that? Is that your dumbass idea?
That's what you just said. That's why
I try to block him out. I really do, because he says stupid shit like that. Like an all-pro corner is going to get they're going to get a second-round pick out of him. It's not going to happen. Huh?
I'd say just at least try. Pick up the phone.
This isn't fucking Madden.
well, Madden.
I think that would get a bad Madden rating too.
I'm just saying they got to do something. This team is so close to get where they should be.
The depth in this cornerback class too is kind of shitty. I doubt Christian Fulton.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see how they test out.
But then it really tapers off.
Yeah, they'll figure something out. They've got. I mean, the first problem though is they've still got O'Brien as their head coach.
Yeah.
And GM now.
No. Oh yeah. I did talk about that. God damn, dude. He's so. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe it'll get better. They haven't made smart decisions. I mean, he's looked decent at times, but like his team's collapsed, and he's needed a good defensive coach, and Cornell's not in anymore. It's like Wade Phillips was great when he was there. I don't think Ryan wants to get back into coaching.
He does, but I don't think he wants to be a coordinator. No. I think he wants to be a head coach. He said he was interested in the Dallas job, but I mean, they weren't going to look at him really.
I mean, he's not a bad head coach if you compare him with the right offensive mind.
If you put him with a
players defense, love playing for that man,
though. He's a bad motherfucker, man. He took the Jets to back-to-back fucking AFC
with Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, if that doesn't tell you how good of a coach he is, I don't know what else I could do.
Yeah, no, and what? Beat the Patriots in the playoffs, too.
Right, and fucking the sheriff, Peyton Manning.
Yeah, while sucking on some toes.
Right.
No, that Colts-Jets playoff loss, 1,000% falls on Jim Caldwell's dumbass for taking a timeout.
Yeah, I still win that game.
Not without taking that timeout and giving them.
You saw the timeout on the board left. Just been a longer field goal, and Nick Folk will just put it down your asses still.
Well, let's get moving on
to
the
highlight in life, you dumb fuck.
To the NFC South. Also, we're covering this week. We're going to start out with the Falcons.
We are. I thought we were going worst team.
I'm sorry.
I thought we were going the worst team.
Well, I thought they were the Who had the worst record?
Who had the worst record in there?
Oh,
the
they
Panthers.
had the same.
The Panthers at 5-12.
Sorry, I didn't know.
$32 million in cap space, 21st overall.
The Panthers were a head scratcher, man. They looked good for a little while.
That's what they've done the last 2 years, but they've had 9-game losing streaks each in the last 2 years. They have so many holes on this team. I mean,
and then when Luke Kuechly retired out of nowhere, that really opened up the biggest hole on the team.
Yeah, Olsen signed with the Seattle Seahawks today. Gerald McCoy is not getting any younger. He's up. Don Terry Poe, thank God he's off the books now because they just had to pay him $9.5 million for nothing.
Damn.
Bruce Irvin never worked out when he came over from Seattle. Former first-round pick. I remember when Seattle took them, they're like, "What the hell?" But he was good for their
Rex
Super
Ryan
Bowl
was
runs.
pissed because he wanted him.
I don't care about Rex Ryan. Stop making everything about the Jets.
I'm not
All right, the biggest question though is, do they let Cam walk?
No.
I'm trading him for whatever I can get for him.
I know.
Bringing in my next.
If he's healthy, I ride with him,
Washing
but
machine, I'd get him.
Right.
I bring him out or I bring him back.
Hey, I wouldn't be mad if they brought him back, but
Because at 7, you're not going to get a good enough quarterback because you're going to have to trade up to get Tagovailoa. You're not getting Burrow. He's not going anywhere. Herbert, maybe, but you still might. You still have to jump maybe the Chargers if they like him. But the thing is here, this team has so many holes. It's another one of those things. Start your rebuild now because you don't have any answers almost anywhere.
I would fucking trade Christian McCaffrey if I was them.
I've seen people have been saying that lately.
Well, at this point, you're not bringing him back on his second deal because he's about to be the most overused running back of all time. You thought last year was bad. Next year, he could go for 15 and 15 and they still win 2 games. I think they're going to be the worst team in football next year. They don't have answers anywhere. Especially if they don't bring back Cam. Kyle Allen's a free agent. Who the hell are you going to sign?
Will Greer looked terrible.
Oh,
Will Greer. I thought he was going to be the fucking answer.
Who?
You.
I
loved it. Yes, you did. You said he was going to be starting by the end of the season and look damn good.
He was starting by the end of the
season.
Did not look good. Did not look good.
He started the last game and looked like absolute
shit against the Colts and they benched his ass.
Right, and the Colts were in the biggest shithole ever at the end of the year.
You got to bring back Cam, and hopefully Trevor Lawrence falls in your lap next year.
Maybe, but if you can get Justin...
They sign Rule to a 7-year deal. This is a complete rebuild, a teardown. If that's the direction, trade Cam for you're not going to get a first
round pick.
You'll probably get a couple seconds and a third.
Would probably be the best answer.
But outside,
that
offensive line can't. We'll get to the Bears eventually. That offensive line can't protect anybody. Cam would get 8 alive up there. I mean, it's just.
Long's taking a year off, I think, too.
No, Long's just straight up retired. He's done.
I thought he was just taking
he retired. He retired.
Yeah.
This is why you shouldn't be talking unless spoken to. Like this is.
I think you're wrong on this.
But you just have so many questions here. Start the rebuild now.
I think if you can get your quarterback that you like and you
there's not one there. I personally think Newton's still got something left. Like
I'm not saying he doesn't, but I think it's time to move on.
He had a freak injury this year that he couldn't rehab. You bring him back.
If you can get Justin Herbert, if you can trade up to get him, I don't know what you would have to get or trade to get up there to get him, but
I mean, he's got a hell of a good arm rule. I mean,
they brought in Joe Brady, the LSU offensive coordinator, so that might be a good tandem to work with moving forward.
Well, right now it looks like Brady can work magic on almost anyone. The dude's only 31 years old, so you're going to have him for 2 years before he's a head coach, just like McVay.
Maybe even
if he does what he did with that, say they get Herbert or they love Jordan Love because he's got a cannon of an arm. If Love does great in the medicals this week, his interviews are spot on, and he shows that movement with his arm to be able to work out routes. He's probably not going to throw no quarterback throws anymore unless you're like a 4th or 5th round draft pick.
I think he would probably be the one too.
It'd be a good hard look there. I think right there at 7 you need to look at Derek Brown or Javon Kinlaw or Rhys Blackman. I mean, you've got so many holes there. It's one of those things too, like almost like Miami. Whoever's the best player on your fucking board, you just take.
My thing is, if you like any of these quarterbacks at 7 and you're the Panthers, get your guy.
You always have to get your guy.
Get your guy moving forward, get your foundation.
Or does Rule want to commit to that early and commit because he's got that 7-year deal?
I don't know. That's the biggest question.
Yeah. I mean, at least the next team we know their coach is a badass. I mean, his initials are BA. Bucks went 7-9. Bruce Arians is the man. They got $70 million in cap or $79 million in cap space, which I was a little surprised about. But the biggest question is Jameis. Do you bring him back? Because the question of the week was Jameis has LASIK surgery. Will that help with his turnovers? Jason, think of it this way. He had eye surgery. He went from 30-30 last year. Now he's got 20-20. 10 less interceptions, baby.
Bucket of crab legs.
Hey, he's a gunslinger. He would have been beloved in the 90s, just like Brett Favre.
Right.
I mean, he's still. I mean, do you bring him back if you don't have a quarterback there at 14? But we can talk about that in a little bit. I mean, Ndamukong Suh, that 1-year deal panned out beautifully.
Oh my God,
that defensive line was stout. They ended up number 1 against the run. He's up. How much does he want? He probably wants a 2 or 3 year deal at this point to give him some more money before he's gone. Shaq Barrett, 19 and a half sacks.
He said he's willing to work with the team to come back. So
you know this dude wants paid though.
Right, but what I read, he was.
But do you worry about that 1 year deal?
So
another one that they brought in on a 1 year deal that I absolutely loved. The Colts should look at him because they need receiver help. Was Brashad Perriman.
Oh God, yeah.
He had drop issues when he was drafted in Baltimore. I think he had 4 drops on 65 targets this year.
Which isn't bad for what he was.
He still shows that top end speed. They've got Evans, who hopefully comes back from his injury just fine. Do you pay him? You're going to have to pay him probably.
Godwin too, right?
Godwin.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I doubt they're going to probably have to let him walk.
Yeah, they're not paying him.
You probably let JPP walk at this point at 31. I mean, he's had the injury history. He likes blowing up his hands. He got an unfortunate car accident.
You never know after this next 4th of July what he'll be missing.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton Barber, who was in and out of the starting lineup, I think you let him walk just because Bruce Arians has shown that he doesn't give a shit who his running back is. Whoever he likes that week's going to play. BA is going to throw the ball all over the place.
Well, David Johnson.
They need tackle.
He's not going to be becoming available.
Yeah.
Not going to come loose.
No, the Cardinals said they're not interested in moving him.
Yeah, we'll see if he comes back from injuries. But the Bucs need offensive line help. The defense is probably going to lose those 3 starters. I mean, I personally would look at offensive line there if he doesn't like his quarterback here. You bring back James, franchise him. I mean, it's only $24 million. You've got the cap space. Worst comes to worst is he's the same shit. You let him walk next year, and you look at the draft again.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're drafting at 14. You don't know what you're going to get there. Love might be gone by that point, too. And, hell, Eason might be gone. You don't know. I mean, things can change so quickly. I mean, look how fast Josh Allen rose up the draft boards 2 years ago. So much gets put into these combines and pro days that right now with uncertainty, you don't know what's going to happen, let alone with free agency too, with the quarterbacks play, what they're going to do.
Do you bring competition like Rivers in to go up against Jameis?
No, you don't sign Rivers there to bring him in with Jameis Winston, you dumb son of a bitch. You sign someone like Marcus Mariota. Why would you start 2 caliber starting quarterbacks to come in? You would bring in like what the Titans did with Tannehill, so you bring in Mariota.
Jameis
to push him.
Rivers is going to want
sold.
And Rivers isn't going to sign somewhere if he's going to have to compete for a fucking job because he's got 29 kids to pay for.
He's going to want $25 million a year, and if you brought
he's probably going to be a 1 or 2 year deal with guaranteed over $30 million.
Right. If you brought back Jameis, the last thing you want to do is bring in Philip Rivers, and it just would never work out, man. They would waste too much money on.
Are you hearing what we're saying? Because whatever's going on in your brain isn't working.
All right, then where does Rivers go from that point? I think Rivers fits well with Tampa.
I don't think he fits well at all with Tampa.
If he fails there, you can fall on Jameis to come.
He doesn't have the arm strength anymore that Bruce Arians wants. He can't just flick it on it. He was missing Mike Williams open all year downfield. I know Williams isn't the best receiver. I mean, he certainly doesn't deserve that top 10 draft pick he was. No. But his arm strength is gone. He is 38 years old. That'd be like saying, oh, fuck it. Arians loves to air out the ball. Let's bring in Tom Brady's old ass and air the ball downfield.
That'd be garbage.
I mean, that's basically what Rivers is. Brady had a better year than Rivers. And Brady wasn't that great either.
I'd just say bring him on in.
This is why you will never be a coach anywhere. I wouldn't even hire you to coach a 5-year-old's flag football league.
Well, when it happens, I'll be sitting right here saying, I told you so.
I don't invite you on. You just show up here.
My team came in last place, thank you.
All right. I think you bring back Jameis. I mean, you've got to find... The only other quarterback that might make sense there is if Derek Carr becomes available. Or if Detroit wants to rebuild, go after Stafford. He'd be a great fit. Yeah. A great fit. It would be a match made in heaven.
Unless you would have to give up for him, though.
Maybe you give up a future first, next year's first, in a couple seconds.
I don't care what people say.
Yeah, I think Stafford was an MVP front runner last year until he got hurt.
Right.
And which is the first time he's been hurt in a while.
He consistently plays.
Since his first couple of years in the league when he was having those shoulder issues, but he's
tough.
Basically, it comes down to his wife saying, you need to sit the fuck down and, like, relax. Because that dude will play through fucking everything.
I just don't see the Lions trading him.
Yeah, I don't either. There's been speculation. I know there was speculation the other week that he was on the trading block, but one of the Giants or Lions reporters reached out to Bob Quinn, the owner, and said there's no way in hell. Well, of course they're going to say that. But if the right offer comes around, because, I mean, they don't have many answers elsewhere either. I mean, they've got a bunch of major holes, but we'll see. Just like the next team, I think they're headed in the right direction finally. The Falcons, 7-9 last year, ended the year well, just horrendous start. I mean, as bad as it can get, everything went wrong for them. They've only got $5.4 million in cap space, though.
Yeah,
you've got to rework Devontae Freeman. They already said
they're going to cut him.
Are they?
Yeah, they're cutting him.
Arthur Blank already said they're going to rework some stuff. The owner,
they're planning on cutting him.
You've got to figure out that. I mean, they already made it very known, which I don't know why they needed to announce it, that they weren't signing Vic Beasley. Like, he was already a free agent. You didn't need to be like, hey, we're not bringing him back. Well, no one would. He had one good year, has disappeared. The only person I think they've got to bring back that is a free agent for them is Devondre Campbell, their linebacker who played 91. He's slowly becoming the leader of that defense. He's looked good. You're not going to overpay him either. You can bring him on a 2 or 3 year deal, probably about $20 to $25 million. Not all that's going to be guaranteed.
I've seen a lot of people saying they need to try to pay Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper. I don't like him personally. He's an all right player, but he's not.
No, he had a great year last year.
He had one great year.
That's where you always get a little skeptical, but I mean, it's hard to find a tight end off free agency too.
I'm just saying, I don't see them paying him.
If Hooper walks, he will go to New England and just be a stud.
I don't know. They're looking at Hunter Henry there, so.
Hunter Henry where?
At New England.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah,
they're in the market for one.
I say bring back. I mean, it depends on what it's going to cost.
That's all I'm saying. Don't break the
It's
bank
not
on
going
Austin
to.
Hooper.
They invested in the offensive line in last year's draft. They're going to work out. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but their first 2 picks were offensive tackles. One of them was from Washington. Ryan can keep playing. He's still playing at an elite level. I think he's not talked about enough just because they haven't been back to the playoffs at all since they went to the Super Bowl and blew that 28-3 lead.
Let's not talk about that.
No one is happy. From the state of Indiana, no one was happy about it. Unless for some reason you're a Patriots fan, which, bitch, yeah. Oh, it is what it is. It's just Ryan's still an elite quarterback, top 10 at least. You've got Julio Jones still in his prime. Amari Cooper looked better last year. Again, like he's getting better. Or not Amari Cooper. Wow, Calvin Ridley. Wow. Calvin Ridley. No, as I don't know why I said him. Alabama receivers, man. Drafted top 10. But you've got the pieces there. The line. They have to get an edge rusher, I guess, is what they're drafting 16th overall.
Yeah, because they're losing Claiborne, too. He's not the best. But,
he's 30. His best playing days are behind him. His best days were...
Still bring back his death, though.
It depends on what deal. I mean, he's just a massive human being, too. He's out of Iowa. Jonathan Cyprian's a free agent. He's getting old, though. I mean, his best days were in Jacksonville.
He's up there.
I think they bring back Kamal Ishmael.
Why?
Isn't he a starter at safety? He had a decent season.
I don't even want to know. I'm not even going to ask what you think a decent season is. Their biggest need, I mean, they were 29th in sacks last year. They haven't had an elite edge rusher since 2017 when Beasley, I think, had 16.5.
Yeah.
I mean, you look...
That's the only flash he's really had.
But you don't have the money to go out in free agency and get a Jadeveon Clowney, which he's not worth it. But I think if they get that, they can shore up that. Raheem Morris being their defensive coordinator next year will be a big move. That was the smart move. I don't know why he started last year as a wide receiver coach when he's always been a defensive coach. Bring them back, or he's coming back. The defense will take a step forward next year. I honestly think they can compete with the Saints next year for the division.
Yeah, and they got 2 second-round picks on top of their first-round pick, a third-round pick, a fourth-round pick, a fifth-round pick. So they'll be able to fill some holes if they can draft well.
Yeah, and I mean, last year's draft went well. They've made some good moves over the years in the draft. I mean, is it Dimitrioff is their GM, I believe?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Came over he was in Kansas City for a little while, and it came basically from the Bill Belichick disciple tree. I think they're in a great spot going into next year. How much longer you have with Ryan? I don't know, maybe 4 years. I mean, but it's father time. You never know when it's going to creep in.
Well, their cap space, though, is going to create...
They're going to already said they're going to rework some deals. I mean, luckily, they don't have anybody that's like pressing that they have to bring back besides Devondre Campbell.
What you got free up cap, though?
They're going to.
Well, do you cut Carpenter and Alex Mack off that offensive line?
They're not cutting Alex Mack.
Mack had a better year this past year. 2 years ago, he struggled. It depends on what the dead cap is. They're probably going to rework deals first because that's what NFL teams do. I don't know if you ever watched it. It's called the National Football League.
Yeah.
Usually they start with reworking deals where players take less money, especially these older veterans. So they're going to go with that. Like I've said multiple times, they're going to go that route first.
Yeah,
and
they'll boost their cap all the way up.
They're not in the negative yet. Okay? They're not in the negative yet. They're in the surplus at $5.4 million. If they're going to cut Devontae Freeman, I think that cap hit is a little at $6 million, so that puts you $600,000 in the hole. They're going to rework some deals, rework the fucking deals, Reeves. And then they're going to be fine.
I just
no team has ever gone into a year, at least to my knowledge, negative $20 million like you're basically suggesting. It can't happen. It won't happen. They will be okay. That's why they pay guys to look at numbers, because God forbid if somebody ever paid you with numbers, because that would just be terrible. I think
you're putting together a hell of a team.
Urban.
All right, we're going to move on to the Saints here, the winner in the division. They got a lot of questions moving forward with their three-headed monster at quarterback.
Look, that's the biggest news of the day,
Drew
though.
Brees. Yeah, I was about to get to
let
that.
Him walk.
Hot take of the week right here from Josh Reeves. I
love Brees, Purdue guy here. You gotta let Brees walk.
Well, I heard.
Yeah, Brees. Let's let the motherfucker walk in his 19th year. Okay, who was the NFC Offensive fucking Player of the Month? Set the single game completion percentage was 29 of 30 for 96%. Played okay in the playoffs, but was still an elite quarterback this year. But let's let him fucking walk.
Yeah.
Why?
He already said.
Right, I'll get it. They're going to try to win a Super Bowl, and he wants to. They can't do it with Brees at this age.
They can't do it with Brees at this age.
No.
With him throwing the way he's been throwing, he hasn't shown a decline. He has the top 3 completion percentage marks of all time in a single season. One of them was last year.
I just don't think they'll get to the playoffs.
He already said, though, he's willing to, if they re-sign Taysom Hill and him, he's willing to only
They can re-sign Taysom Hill.
He said he's willing to do that. If that's what helps the team to win, he's willing to be a team player.
Taysom Hill's a restricted free agent, too, so they can tender him. They can give him a first or second round tender, and then they can match any contract. They're letting Teddy walk. I think that's a foregone conclusion with that signing today. I think the bigger question is they've got Apple, Bell, and P.J. Williams.
Apple's had some moments, but...
so Bell's still a good safety.
I like Von Bell.
You only have $9.3 million in cap space. You're going to have to rework some stuff. Some guys are going to take some different...
I think you can get Bell for around $4 to $5 million a year, though.
P.J. Williams, I think you can bring back. Played, I think, almost 70% of the snaps. He's a good slot corner. Andres Pete, he's up. Their guard. He only played 10 games last year. He's been hurt.
Teo and his invisible girlfriend.
Yeah, let him go, man. I literally forgot he was on there.
Actually, he has a real girlfriend now.
I know. It's a miracle when you play in the NFL and you have millions.
Kiko Alonso, would you just cut?
I mean, if you're looking at if we're going to talk linebackers, why aren't we talking about A.J. Klein, who was their best linebacker last year? No? Oh, because I actually watch football and you fucking don't. You go that route first. You can find...
I like Demario Davis, though. He was good.
Yeah.
I thought he was a best linebacker.
I mean, I would go with Klein.
Linebacker to be
I'm not.
No, I get it. Good. I think you address the secondary first. I mean, obviously, you could go secondary late in that first round, but I think we all agree that they need a receiver. Someone's got to go opposite Michael Thomas. I mean, anybody.
And they don't have a second
Bring in
round
Bashard Perriman. But would he be willing to... See, you might get lucky and find a guy that wants to come in there and run up for a Super Bowl that might be... I mean, Perriman, though, is probably wanting to get paid because he's only 26.
I don't know, man. I don't think he's going to command that much money, though. He's probably going to be around the $3 to $5 million range.
A year, maybe. I think it command a little more. I mean, He had a damn good year.
I don't know, man.
What he was, he's established himself as a...
though, too.
Yeah, but look also who was throwing to him. It
Just
was either
depends
going to
on-
be in his hands or it was going to be in the other team's hands. So, like,
It just depends
you never
on
knew.
who's
50-50
coming
call.
out. It just depends on really who's coming after him and what's being offered, I guess.
Yeah, I mean...
If they don't have a second-round pick,
that's okay.
and so we'll see what they do in the draft.
I mean, they're still going to be the favorites to win the division. I think the Falcons will compete with them. I think they're going to be one of the preseason favorites again to get out of the NFC.
But you know as well as
Because
I
they have
do,
this quarterback named Drew Brees. And
this division is one that
except
flips a
for
lot.
the last two.
No, I'm not saying.
Was
But
it the Saints this year? Historically, yeah. This is the
flips
first
a lot.
time in over 10 years that someone's
Well,
won back to back.
I
I don't think the Panthers are. But the Bucks, I mean, you never know. But
I like Tampa next year to win the division.
Okay, well, we'll get into predictions later and just
Right.
stop talking.
Another hot take.
They've got Drew Brees, and I know it's his 20th season, but
He's coming back to the Saints. I know that.
that's already been. It was announced. He announced it like hours ago.
He's still a free agent. Doesn't mean so can just.
He's not a free agent yet, though. He's on their books until March something.
Oh my God! Yeah, I know. He doesn't.
No, I'm telling him.
I
Know
know.
that, but
He's basically already said, like, if
He's
I
coming back,
come
yeah.
back to the Saints, I'm just going to retire.
He announced today that he is going to re-sign with the Saints.
I already know that. I'm just saying the Saints are going to.
Then what part of this don't you understand?
I'm just saying I would not re-sign Brees back to the team. That's all I'm just saying. That's the point that I'm trying to get.
Ship him to the Jets.
No, I don't want him. I'll roll with Darnold.
Dude,
Cut it. We're done. Cut it.
That's our
they're going to be
first
just
save
fine. It depends on what they can rework with Apple. If you want to bring Apple, but Von Bell, I think you have to re-sign. You've got some issues there, but the defense still flies around. They've got so many pieces that they're going to be a heavy favorite because they are that good. I just Brees can get them still to the Super Bowl. You might as well because them agreeing to sign him again this year, they're basically saying we've got a 2 to 3 at most 3-year window. We've got to go for the Super Bowl now, which they have been. You've got to let it ride and load up. I mean, that's what St. Louis is still doing. They're still betting on Sean McVay. Put all your baskets in the chip again. If you need to, trade someone just so you can get another draft pick and free up some cap space, you do it because you've got to get some of these players back, and Brees deserves a chance for another run because the way they went out in the playoffs last year, none of that's Brees' fault.
No.
Last 2 years, really.
Yeah, the offense. I mean, Brees has been screwed the last 5 or 6 years. He's been great, but someone in this year wouldn't fucking bring him back. Oh my fucking
One of the
God.
greatest all time, man.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I agree.
Reeves also told us when we were growing up that he would have traded Peyton Manning. This is like after he won back-to-back Super Bowls the first time. He's not good enough to win it. Okay, right on. You're an idiot. I hate you so much. Stop coming over.
You'll text me next week to come back over.
No, I won't. All right.
And throw a parade for me.
Do you want to do six-pack question of the week?
Oh, yeah. It's my favorite.
That's
And I
fine.
know it's yours.
It's becoming mine. All right, let's do it.
This is the six-pack of the week.
With the first question, what wide receiver in 2002 became the first player in Bills history to reach 100 receptions in a season?
Eric Moulds?
Yeah. Nice job. In 2003, what running back became the youngest player to score 5 touchdowns in a game at the age of 22 years?
Read that again,
97
sorry.
In 2003, what running back became the youngest player to score 5 touchdowns in a game at the age of 22 years, 97 days old? The record was set against the Chiefs.
Was it an AFC team or NFC team?
AFC.
Oh, shit, 2003?
Yep.
Priest Holmes?
Clinton Portis. What running back has the most rushing yards in their rookie season?
The whole season?
Yeah.
Oh, man. God, you think, I used to run the ball a hell of a lot more back in the day, but I know you've still had great since then. I'm going to go with LT.
It's Eric Dickerson.
That would have been my second guess because I was thinking old
1,800
school.
yards.
Dude was
How
a
many
monster.
teams have never won the Super Bowl?
How many teams have never won the Super Bowl?
Yep. Don't give me the teams, just give me the number.
I know, but I'm going to have to name off the teams.
Do that.
Carolina Panthers. Buffalo Bills. Houston Texans. Jaguars. God, even the Jets have somehow won. The Vikings. So we're going through division. Arizona Cardinals. I know I'm missing. I'm going to go with 7 because I think I'm missing one.
It's 12.
Is it really?
Yeah. What defensive player holds the record for most sacks in their rookie season?
Give an official stat in what, 1980, 82?
Something like that.
Most sacks in their rookie season. Man. LT?
Javon Curse with 14.5, the Freak. Alden Smith was second with 14. Dwight Freeney was third with 13. All right, and our last one for the week. Who has the most passing yards in a game in a regular season?
That record hasn't been broke in a very long time.
Yep.
Oh, man. It's not Tar. It's not Y.A. Tittle.
It's 554 yards. I know that probably won't help you, but...
Sammy Ball?
It's Norm Van Brocklin. And that is all for our questions of the week.
Right on. Well, shit. Good questions. Next week, like I said, we'll go to the Combine Talk. We'll hit up our top 15 free agents, and we'll actually talk about the XFL. Just hopefully it's the Vipers are somehow better, but I doubt it.
We'll probably pick a couple divisions to recap as well. And
yeah, look at the link below. We're going to post our new website we've got up going. Hopefully we'll be on Spotify and iTunes here soon this week. I know we're trying to work on that and get everything up and running. But comment below on our YouTube channel. Let us know what you think. All right, see everybody next week.